absolute fear takes over.
There was a point where I was on the side of the road in tears.
We have a 3-year-old rescue dog we got from the CRD. His name's Ryder. He's a Catahoula leopard dog. So he's about 70 pounds and he's very much a hound dog. He's brindle, so people I'll often think he looks a little bit like a pit bull cross, but he is the biggest love bug you could ever hope to meet, and extremely food motivated, so he will be your friend for life if you can give him food or treats. My husband had taken the dog out for a run up at the University of Victoria. It was about 6 o'clock on a winter evening, late December, and it was that classic, I dropped the leash and went to bend down and pick it up. Ryder saw deer at the same time, and his prey drive is incredibly high, so he ran for the deer. And Simon, in his good intentions, felt that he would be able to find the dog. I think within 10 minutes he knew that Ryder had disappeared into the darkness.
He's a Husky Lab mix. He is 5 years old, and we've had him since he was 4 months old. We got him from the SPCA, and we were looking for a new young puppy, and we walked by, and there he was. It was the eyes that got us.
We were actually driving to a baseball tournament, and our dog walkers had them out for a run, and they got scared. And he gave us a call, and we turned around on the middle of the Malahat, actually, on our way back down, turned all the way back, and went to go look for him.
That was the Willis Point area. Yeah, so very, very steep terrain, lots of woods. So the place that you don't want to lose a dog was the perfect place for it.
Yeah.
You get that phone call of, I've lost the dog, and you can't, there's no feeling to describe that, especially given how close it was to New Year's Eve and holiday parties and the darkness and the cold, and just absolute fear takes over. And so immediately we contacted Rome.
He heard about Rome through the dog walker. He suggested that we contact them, get the word out as soon as possible, and get his picture out.
Rome was amazing. So right from the beginning, like the harrowing beginning, they were an unbelievable group. Their form to fill out on Facebook to start with is easy, and it's just the facts, and you can submit it really quickly, and within probably 10 or 15 minutes we'd been contacted by a Rome admin saying, okay, we have your message, and by the way, we've had sightings. So somebody has already reported that they've seen your dog before you've reported that they were missing. They had people out. By the time I got to the last known location at Mount Doug Park in the parking lot, there was a slew of people. People I have no idea who they are. I'd never met them before, who were all out committed to finding our dog. It was completely overwhelming.
I talked to Terry on the phone.
While we were driving back.
Yeah, and everybody started doing posters. It was all over Facebook. Anybody who was, any of the searchers that were up walking there, any other dog with the dogs, were out looking.
There were a number of bad choices that were made that night. The number of times I followed strange people into dark trails, which I would never have done, and realized I was following a Saanich police officer who had been called because someone had seen Ryder dragging the leash behind him and thought maybe the owner had been injured or had a medical emergency. So the Saanich police were out. And when we got back to the Mount Doug parking lot, that's where I met Terry for the first time from Rome. I didn't know that at the time. A man comes up to me in a truck and says, "Are you looking for a dog? Get in." And so I got in. So I think that kind of tells you about where my frame of mind was, of I just have to find this dog.
The biggest challenge with Ryder was that, number one, it was Christmas season, so it was December 29th. It was Friday night, it was dark. Ryder was lost UVic, but we kind of got sighting by Mount Doug Park, going up towards the park, dragging a leash. There were so many people out too, and that road is so busy. I mean, there are so many cars, and he's running up and down that trail path, and then we lose sight of him. Nothing, he's gone.
I was always the one to wake up in the morning, drive out there at like 6 o'clock and sit in my car or walk around the area that he got lost and try and look for him at night or in the morning, and then go to work, and then I'd come home and go back out there again at night. So I kept on going. It was tough, but Jenny, it was affecting Jenny a little bit more than me.
In the case of Rusty, the challenges, I think, is the distance, being out at Willis Point, and the fact that he was lost out in the side of a mountain, at the remoteness. You know, we had different sightings, we used different traps, we hiked up the side of a mountain, and, you know, we had different cameras. I mean, the sheer, you know, vast area that Rusty could have been was a huge challenge for us.
I didn't lose hope, and part of that was because of the Rome staff, the volunteers themselves. They wouldn't let you. I mean, the first thing they say is, "We never give up." And they have these stories of dogs that have been missing for 90 days, 6 months, a year, and they've had successful retrievals. And the dogs have been returned, they've been healthy, unharmed, you know, these happy endings. And they don't let you start to give up hope. And so we had gone 24 hours without a sighting. And at the 24-hour mark, I was thinking, this is potentially bad. Maybe he's injured, and maybe we're gonna get some bad news.
I called Deb, and Deb was heartbroken at that point, right? No sightings, thought that something that Ryder got caught up on a branch and, you know, so forth, or took off and never to be found, right? So, you know, and I remember saying to Deb that night about 8 o'clock, I said, "Deb, you need to get some rest, because you never know when I'm gonna call you. If we get a sighting, chances are Ryder's not gonna come to me, it's gonna be you. So if I get a call at midnight, I'm gonna call you. So you gotta be ready, you gotta be, you know." And so she did, she went, and she was heartbroken, but I said, you know, just trust us.
I didn't lose hope, but we had that discussion where we came to the realization that, you know what, there could be a chance that it's 17 days later that he may not make it.
It's a funny story. We actually had another trap set up, and was it golden retriever?
Yeah, golden retriever and pet me both went into this 6-foot trap, but Rusty, we've got lots of footage. He would go up to it, but no way, he was not going in. And we thought, okay, we have to go to plan B.
The phone calls and the texts that would come in from the Rome admin would come in at 2 o'clock in the morning. They don't sleep. They're just constantly on it, and your dog missing becomes their priority. Harry finally put eyes on Ryder and said, "I've seen him, but he's nervous to come out, so it's not good for me to try and get him. We need you to come down." So we were within 3 minutes drive. And he was at a trailhead, and he kept kind of popping in and out of this trailhead. Terry had brought roast chicken, which is fantastic for Ryder, so he had this wonderful roast chicken for dinner. Put one of his blankets down at the trailhead so that he got a familiar scent, and coaxed him out. And then Terry talked me through it the entire way. Once Ryder came out of the trailhead, he was a little hesitant to come because he was definitely scared. And Terry was just, you know, amazing at saying, "Don't stand up, just squat down and call his name, and don't get really loud, and don't try and grab him." And sure enough, Ryder came running over and just scooped him up, and Terry gave us a leash to put on him, and we had our dog back. We got him in the car. After that, he was in the car and locked in. We didn't want to risk any other adventures.
So she was just ecstatic. It was fantastic. It was a great feeling.
So we tried a couple different traps. We tried one smaller trap to try and catch him, And then we tried with, they call him Big Daddy.
The Big
With
Daddy
Big Daddy.
trap, yeah.
So it's a big pen, basically. It's like panels of fencing where they tried to capture him. It was successful in a way. He went in, the trap went off. He got so scared, he took off, running back to where the door was, not knowing that the door had shut, and he went right through the fence.
He broke the whole front door.
He broke the door
Yeah.
of the pen.
It was like watching it in slow motion, and we went from the biggest high to the biggest low in a matter of seconds. We feel that it was a learning lesson, and we learned from every single dog case that we do, we learn from it. And so now a wild boar could not get through that cage anymore.
The next night, we went back there. They reinforced the whole door,
We did it again.
fixed everything, set it all up. That night, they went there, cooked bacon,
And hearts and
hearts,
everything
and yeah, we had a nice little feast, and we left everything all set up. And we were standing on the road, and all of a sudden, we heard like the sound, and he had his chain still on
His collar.
his collar, so we could hear it. And all of a sudden, Chewy took off behind the car, and I was a little worried about him going behind the car, and all of a sudden here comes the two dogs from behind the car, and we're standing out on the road going,
Is this really happening right now?
So because he was still in survivor mode, it took him quite a long time to come to us. So we got down really low, tried to talk nicely to him. Funny story, he's actually his kind of dog. And he only came to me, which is, yeah, he wouldn't recognize us. He circled us a bit, and then we finally got him. But that was, it was
kind of surreal because it happened so quickly because we were expecting the trap to do its thing because we had so much hope that it got reinforced. There's no way that he's gonna get out of this one, right? And then Chewy walks off, the brother, and brings him back.
So after all that, it was his little buddy. We knew we'd get him. We just, we were glad that it happened so quickly after the mishap.
Absolute exhaustion and relief and gratitude for all of the work that people had put in, for people we'd never met, and it was as important to them as it was to us that we find our dog. It's indescribable.
The overwhelming part was just the true community coming together, whether it was all the residences at Willis Point, Rome and all their volunteers, just having them help us and comfort us throughout the whole time because it was such a difficult time. And there was a point where I was on the side of the road in tears, right? Just because, he is part of the family and you never want that to happen to anybody.
They always kept us informed with anything that was happening.
Without them, I don't know if we would have found Rusty, just because the resources that they have, the expertise that they have, the experience, that is something that is so invaluable, and we owe it all to them.
The admins and the volunteers are the reason why Rome's so successful, and without them, I don't think we would be near where we are today.
No, each case takes so much effort from so many different people and on so many different levels. Absolutely appreciate, value, and rely on our volunteers and adore them.